Hi Virgo, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your April 2021 tarot reading. Thank you to those of you who liked, viewed, shared, subscribed, and donated to the channel. I appreciate all of that. And for those of you new to the channel, as far as what we have in front of us, it's a Celtic crossbreed as always, and I also pulled an Oracle card and a Mudra card for you guys. We're actually going to open the reading up by rolling those astrology dice we have in front of us to help us get an idea of where your focus should be as far as the astrology goes. So let's start with that. Okay. We have the North Node, which is actually in Gemini, which is your 10th house of career and social status. We have Libra, which is actually your second house of, possessions, finances, self-worth, and 3. So this is actually the third house, which for you guys is Scorpio, and that's also the house of communication. So keep those in mind as we go through the spread. Starting with the main situation, you guys have the World. So I actually often view this as the North Node card for me personally, and then the Magician is the South Node for me typically. So it goes in line with what we saw with the dice there. It could just be saying that you might be reaching a successful completion in the area of your career, possibly within your social status as well. For some of you, it might take until we actually get to Taurus season, since we see the fixed sign energies in the actual artwork of the card, so maybe toward more the end of April. But yeah, looks like something that you've been working on. It's finally going to reach a successful completion. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be related to career. Of course, I also view this as some Capricorn energy as well, which for you guys is your 5th house, so it can just be a creative project you guys might have been working on, you name it. But that's what I see there. In the challenger obstacle position, we have the Sun. So with this in a challenge position, it could just be saying that for some of you, you might not have the energy, so maybe whatever this was you've been working on, it might have taken a lot out of you. So, it could be like you reach that successful completion, but you don't even really have the energy to celebrate it because it just took a lot out of you at the time. That's one way I could see this playing out. For others of you, I could see this playing in a couple of other ways too. One could be saying that the key that's blocking you from this completion is to try to take a lighter, more playful approach toward the situation, whatever it is. And for a much smaller percentage of you, if you already have been taking things a bit too lightly, it could just be saying that that's the challenge there, where you might need to step up and, put a little bit more serious effort into it. For the majority of you, I feel like it'd be the former of those two, because again, usually you guys are very meticulous about what you do. But I did have to at least mention that other possibility for some of you out there. So yeah, that's what I see there. In the foundation position, we have the Chariot, which is Cancer energy, the Nine of Wands, which is Sagittarius energy, and the Six of Pentacles, which is Taurus energy. So really what I'm seeing here is this is usually a very karmic card for me, and actually, given that this is Cancer energy, and when we talk about the North and South Node, those are actually the nodes of the Moon. So sometimes I view this as North and South Node energy as well. So it could just be saying that, energetically, you're being pulled in a certain direction, but there could just be a reluctance on your part to actually move forward with it, maybe because of early conditioning, perhaps for some of you. And, if that's the case, I feel like it's a perfectionism thing, where, so let's just say you've completed something, and then in this case, the Sun could be working out a slightly different way. Could just be saying whatever this is that you've been working on, it's ready to roll, you're ready to put it out in the world, but you feel like it's not quite ready yet. You feel like, oh no, I still have a lot more work that I need to put into it, right? So it could just be one of those things where you're kind of delaying it. And there could just be, forces around you that seem to be pushing you toward putting this out there, whatever it is. And there's like a reluctance on your part, like, no, I'm not ready yet. I want it to be just right, so that could be what's at play there for some of you. Understandable if that's the case. I mean, I get it, but that's how I'm energetically seeing this is playing out anyway. Let me see if there's another way I could see this playing out. Yeah, I mean, really, that's primarily what's come to mind. For others of you, it could just be saying that, you're waiting on something in order for you to move forward. So if you feel like you've been shorted in some way, you're waiting for that to come around. But honestly, for the majority of you, I feel like it was the first thing we talked about. In the past position, we have the King of Wands. So interestingly enough, seeing this here, this is Leo energy, by the way, which for you guys is your 12th house. But what this could be saying, I could see this pointing to a couple of different things too. For some of you, this could just be saying that this might be a newer field that you're in. So maybe this is your first time completing something in whatever this field may be. So you might feel like you're more in this energy, right? Like, oh, I feel like I still have so much more to learn, right? So you might have a little bit of a lack of confidence around what you're putting out there. Whereas in the past, you might have been working on something that you were much more familiar and comfortable with, So anytime you'd complete something in that area, you felt comfortable because you're like, all right, this is what I do, right? So you had like a certain level of success in that field. So you're like, all right, yeah, I'm totally good to put that out there. No second guessing, just going to throw it out there into the world. So that could be what it is for some of you, that this is like a new path that you've recently been undertaking. And with that, you don't feel that, sense of security that, okay, yeah, I'm totally confident in what I'm putting out there. So that's one way I could see it playing out. And for others, you could just be saying that it might have been an area where you might have been discouraging yourselves because you weren't at that level of mastery. So you're like, no, I'm not going to put this out there until I feel like I've mastered it perfectly. In the present position, we have the Devil, which is Capricorn energy, Ace of Swords, and the Moon. So interesting energies here. Again, this can come back to that same thing where, like I said, this Devil energy could also play out in a similar way as far as pointing to that desire for perfectionism, like so obsessively working on something like, nope, I want to make sure it's just right, you know. And then finally, so this could play out for you in a couple of different ways, this Ace of Swords energy. For some of you, could just be saying, look, you're not seeing the situation clearly, you're totally ready to roll, you're good, stop second guessing it, right? And for others of you, it could just be one of those things where you work towards something and then you feel like you get a realization, no, it's not ready. But if that's the case, again, it could just be the way you're perceiving the situation versus how it actually is. So having Mars moving through your 10th house as it's currently doing might actually help with that situation, might actually give you that forward push that you're looking for if that's the case. In the near future position, we have the King of Cups in reverse. So this is actually Scorpio energy, which for you guys, as we mentioned before, is your third house. And we do see the third house is going to be a focus for you guys this month. So seeing this come up in the reverse position could just be saying that there's something that you're not expressing. You might feel like you're alone in an island on a certain situation. So for whatever reason, that might have you withdrawing from communicating what you're currently feeling. Now, for some of you, this can be how the King of Cups energy plays out in the upright. So for some of you, this could be saying that if you've already been in that mood, you might actually finally be coming out of that and expressing yourself. But yeah, here I feel like there's just that lack of confidence around your communication for whatever reason. All right. And in the position of your influence on the situation, we have the Star. So to me, this is another indicator that even though you might feel like, oh no, it's not ready, it's not time, right? I feel like with the Star showing up here, this does say that you are on the right path. Now, for this to come up in the upright, it's kind of surprising as far as, like I said, it seems like you might still be second guessing that. But seeing this here definitely, to me, says anyway that it looks like you definitely are on the right path. Now, I will say that this is the card that comes after the Tower. So some of you might have gone through a Tower moment. So it could just be one of those things that might have knocked you down, to what you feel like is a ground level, right? But at the same time, it was actually a course correction that you needed. So it could just be, still trying to make peace with that, like feeling like, okay, you might have felt like you were on the right path. You might have had that Tower moment that brought things down for you. And now you're actually where you should be, but you just might not quite believe that just yet. And for others of you, this could be around balance of give and take as well. Sometimes I point out to people with the Star card, I always find it interesting how it looks like she's pouring water into a source where there's already plenty of water, right? And if we think about the Aquarius archetype as far as being, the humanitarians of the zodiac, to me that points to that understanding, right? That, if everyone just comes and takes from that source of water, eventually there's not going to be anything left, right? So she has that understanding that, okay, yes, I'll take out sometimes, but I need to put back as well. So this could be a dynamic that maybe you guys have struggled with a bit, as far as, the dynamics of give and take, right? And that might have been what kept you guys stagnant in the past as well. So that could be what that Six of Pentacles is there, right? Feeling like, oh, you don't want to give up too much, or don't take too much, right? You always want things to be exactly right, but in the more natural flow of things, sometimes you might be giving more than you're receiving. Other times it might be the other way around, right? So this could definitely be like a give and take dynamic you guys might have struggled with, but it looks like you're actually grasping it in a much more positive way now. All right, in the environment position, we have the Nine of Cups. So this is actually Pisces energy here. And I think this is where that new moon energy in Pisces is actually, in the middle 10 degrees. We're just about to have it actually, but at the time I'm recording this, I should say. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where it is. But this is often referred to as wish fulfillment. Sometimes it's an energy of contentment, right? And knowing what you bring to the table, as far as if we look at those 9 cups there, and then that kind of opens you up to more of an energy of receptivity, right? Because you're like, all right, you know what you bring to the table, you're content with that, and then that could open up the flow for more good things to come your way, right? So that could get you to that 10 of Cups point. But that's what I'm seeing there. For some of you, this can be someone in your environment as well, especially since this does represent your opposite sign. All right, and hopes or fears position, we have the Lovers. So this is Gemini energy here. And again, like we said, given that the North Node did pop up as one of your areas of focus, and that is where the North Node is, and Mars as well, like we said, could just have a lot of focus on that area of life. For others of you, this could just be saying that you might want, at least want to believe that things could work out for the best behind the scenes, right? Where you might have some, like a spiritual interaction that'll kind of make sure you're on the right path. That's one way it could be playing out, of course. On a more mundane level, this could also say that you're hoping for a solid love relationship, where you feel like you're, with an equal, but that's what I'm seeing there. All right, and in the outcome position, we have the Five of Cups, which is more Scorpio energy. So again, we see the communication theme. Queen of Wands, which is Aries energy. Six of Cups, also Scorpio energy. The Hierophant, Taurus energy. High Priestess, usually I view this as Pisces energy. And the Eight of Swords. Interesting mixture of energies here. All right. So for some of you, if this is around maybe some disappointment that you've had with someone, could be a friendship group, given that he's looking at that Three of Cups. Usually I view it as, connections with friends. Maybe if you had a falling out with friends, for example, during Aries season, you might actually feel that urge to reach out to them and extend the olive branch. Can be any relationship, really, but feeling for a lot of you might be more of a friend thing. And then, to be fair, it could also be romance as well, because we do see the Hierophant and the High Priestess. So it could just be one of those things where maybe there was an approach in the past that was taken with the connection that, probably both parties, realistically speaking, weren't acting from their higher selves. So it could have led to some petty conflicts along those lines. But again, with that Aries energy, it could just be saying that you guys are actually feeling that urge to extend the olive branch. And if that's the case, looks like things would work out well, as far as both sides would approach things from their higher selves and actually move forward in a positive way. But I feel like with that Eight of Swords, there could be a bit of hesitation around that on your part. And almost, well, this is going to sound weird, but hopefully it resonates with you guys. But I feel like it's almost like a fear of success, like, okay, what if I do this, right? What if I actually do move forward, and then we actually, things work out? So I know it sounds odd, but that's kind of how I'm feeling it. But to see that Eight of Swords pop up after all of this, build up of positive energy. So it could just be a fear around that. And I mean, I get it. As far as Virgos sometimes tend to operate better when there is a problem to solve, as opposed to when things are flowing well. Operating out of that mode so much, you might feel like, well, if things are flowing well, it's just a matter of time until there's another problem to solve, right? So that could kind of be how it might be playing out for some of you. Um, I will say at the bottom of the deck, we have the Two of Cups. So this is actually more Cancer energy here. And usually to me, this represents a meeting of the minds. So that makes me think of that High Priestess and Hierophant energy we see there as well. So definitely looks like that's on the table for you guys this month. And like I said, it looks like you've been going through a lot of heavier energy. Um, and it could just be one of those things where the universe might be bringing some good things your way, but you, for whatever reason, might not feel like you're ready to actually grasp those opportunities. So that's what I see there. All right, moving on to the Oracle card. You guys got Higher Power. There's the artwork, and the number is 4. All right, well, perfect for the month of April, but let's see what it says. Okay, it says conscious contact with a higher power, the presence of the divine, seeing source energy in all things, committing to a partnership with spirit. The Oracle's message. This card reminds you that you are more than a person trying to get ahead and make things happen for yourself and others. You have an immortal soul and are gifted with a human life through which a higher power can express itself. At this time, you need to be conscious of your connection to spirit and foster it through prayer and meditation. Ask, what is the highest good for all? How can I serve? Then get out of your own way and trust that there is a plan for your life more wondrous than you can ever know. You are always protected and divinely directed. So definitely a pretty positive message there. And for some of you, this could actually point to an awakening energy, because I did mention the fact that this is the card that comes after the Tower, right? So for some of you, you might have been tied up in like a very much like a worldly type goal. And for whatever reason, things might have shifted for you guys. And that could be what this Hierophant and High Priestess energy is there, where it's like that level of awakening, but you might be a bit fearful around that. And then for some of you, where I was saying, where you might have been very comfortable in a certain field, for some of you, it might have been more around spirituality, especially given that for you guys, Leo is your 12th house, so you might be having that awakening, but like kind of freaked out by it a little bit, because like, whoa, what do I do now? But that's what I see there. The relationship message says it's time to address how much effort you give to your relationship with your higher power, called God, Goddess, Spirit, or any other name that is sacred and holy. Recognize that your partnership with Spirit is your number one priority. The appearance of this card also indicates that there is a deep spiritual bond between you and another person who is essential to your growth and evolution. Tend to your spiritual connections and remain aware of your true nature. So definitely a pretty positive message there as well. And again, that could also be pointing to what we were seeing in the outcome position with the Hierophant and High Priestess energy. And also the Two of Cups, like I said, that meeting of the minds type energy there. The prosperity message says sometimes your work just flows through you. Ideas come rushing in and inspiration bubbles up from a wellspring you didn't even know you could access. When you enter agreements, begin projects, and negotiate deals with Spirit as your partner, you will always succeed. Let your higher power lead. The synchronicities and intuitive nudges you feel will help you see which way you are being pointed, giving you confidence to move forward in the right direction. Don't forget to give credit where it is due. You wouldn't be a success without Spirit's guidance. Humility will serve you well when this symbol appears. So interesting message there, because that takes me back to what I was saying with that Chariot energy, where you might feel like there are forces outside of you that are nudging you toward a certain direction, and you might feel like, no, I'm not quite ready yet, so hopefully that resonated with you guys if that's the type of energy you've been feeling. And lastly, we'll look at your Mudra card. So you guys got the Mandala Mudra. There it is there. Keyword for it is vision. All right, and let's see if we get it to focus. Here we go. All right, and if you want to pause it to take a screenshot, you can, but under benefits, it says awakens supreme devotion and enlightened attitude, improves concentration, evokes insight into the transitory nature of all things, serves as a physical expression of your own original nature. So if that sounds like something you think would be beneficial for you guys, I will put the name of the Mudra in the description video as always. We'll wrap up there, and I'll see you all next month. All right, bye.